was about to become the epicenter for a storm of police activity and a media feeding frenzy that would broadcast it all over the world. When a child goes missing, police have to act very fast. Every minute that a child isn't found, the odds lengthen of them being found alive. Within just a few hours, West Yorkshire Police had assigned an entire team to finding Shannon Matthews, knocking on every door in sight and questioning everyone. Within 24 hours, Yorkshire Police had drafted over 200 officers from neighboring forces to aid in their efforts to find Shannon. Hundreds of concerned citizens also offered their assistance, and, alongside police search teams, they searched nearby fields and woodlands for even the slightest clue as to her whereabouts. But alas, their valiant efforts would all come to nothing. Shannon's mother, Karen, was certain that the little girl had not gone far, but all of the homes of friends and family had been checked. Shannon was nowhere to be seen. Similar to the local community, who continued to give up their time to search, police were also stumped. And although they could not say it publicly, behind the scenes, they were increasingly worried. Surely, if Shannon was local and had just wandered off, normal methods of policing would have found her by now. But there had been much more to this than meets the eye. Shannon Matthews was born on the 9th of September 1998. Her parents, Leon Rose and Karen Matthews, had separated when she was very young. Shannon was described by everyone as a timid, shy little girl. She found it difficult to mix with other children and often played alone, with the exception of a very few close friends. She grew up in a busy household. Her father didn't have much involvement in her life after the breakup, so she was mainly brought up by her mother. Karen had 7 children, including Shannon, with 5 different dads. 5 of her children lived with her and her boyfriend, Craig Meehan, and 2 other children lived with their fathers. People described Karen and Craig as nice enough people, but as gossipers will do, they did question their relationship. Craig was 10 years younger than Karen, who was 32. Friends and family also questioned Karen's character. 7 children are a lot to have by the age of 32. In fact, it's a lot to have for any woman at any age. People accused Karen of simply having children so she didn't have to go to work and could claim more benefits from the state. At the time, the UK benefits system meant the more children you had, the more you could claim, although that has since changed. But Karen was receiving approximately £400 per week from the state, at the time a similar wage to what a working person could expect to be paid. But Karen's ability to be a mother would also be questioned as well. During what was described as an extremely heated fight with one of her ex-boyfriends, friends from across the street actually came over the road to Karen's home and took Shannon by force to look after her for a few days because they didn't believe she was being looked after properly. Even the police who attended the incident, in a slightly unorthodox move, allowed the neighbors to take temporary charge of the child. When Shannon was checked over by medical professionals, they found that she was covered in lice and clearly had not bathed for some time. Growing up in this environment could explain a lot about Shannon's personality, her shyness, her timidity, and the way she often flinched and jumped whenever there was a sudden loud noise. Neighbors had called social services several times, but nothing ever seemed to be done. On the day of her disappearance, Shannon had been to swimming lessons that were provided by the school. She would always come home from school around 3:30. Karen was not home at 3:30 and hadn't realized that Shannon hadn't returned until her boyfriend Craig told her in a casual passing conversation. Karen immediately phoned the school to ask if the bus had come back from the swimming lessons yet, and the school did confirm that it had. She also visited neighbors telling them that Shannon had not come home, asking if anyone had seen her, but no one had. It wasn't until 6:50 p.m., nearly 3.5 hours since Shannon had last been seen, that Karen finally decided to call 999, the emergency number in the UK. News spreads fast in these small communities, and even before the police arrived, people were flocking out of their homes in temperatures near zero to start scouring the streets. Within a very short time, the police contacted all major media outlets in the UK and made a broadcast appealing for anyone with any information to come forward immediately. The media can be useful in making public appeals, but they can also be a hindrance to any investigation at the same time. With the revelation that Shannon was missing, media crews from all over the country came flocking to the narrow street where Karen Matthews lived. Within 48 hours, 300 officers were now working on finding Shannon. Most worryingly, police had brought in the murder squad, which might have given us an insight into what the police were thinking at that time. The local community were frantic, doing everything they could to assist under police guidance. The police themselves were running around everywhere and doing everything they could, but something was noted at the time, not just by the community, but also by the 2 family liaison officers assigned to Karen Matthews. Of all the people trying to help, it seemed that she was the calmest of them all. Surely any mother who had lost a child would be almost inconsolable with worry and grief. But strangely, not Karen and not her boyfriend. Usually in the UK, in a case like this, the family is given a single liaison officer. So why had Karen been assigned 2? Well, the answer is simple. The first family liaison officer, DC Alex Grummett,